Hey guys, this is Tay, and I'm super excited to tell you guys about my new favorite filmmaker, Melvin Van Peebles. He was born August 21st, 1932, in Chicago, Illinois. He received his BA in literature from Ohio Wesleyan University. He married Maria Marks, who is a photographer and an actress, and they had four children together: Mario, Megan, Max, and Marjorie. And we are going to deep dive into his relationship with Mario later on into the presentation. He was mostly nominated for a lot of awards, and unfortunately, he didn't win them. But even though those awards do not reflect the legacy and the work that he put into all of his films, his musicals, his novels, everything that this man touched became gold, regardless of winning awards. He received three more awards before he passed last year. The last award he was able to receive was named in his honor, and it's the Melvin Van Peebles Trailblazer Award. And obviously, he was the first recipient. Sweet Sweetback's badass song, created in 1971, is Peebles' first musical. He wrote, directed, co produced, edited, scored, and starred in this film. He also funded this film completely on his own. Columbia Pictures signed him to a three-film deal but refused to back and fund this film. So Peebles took $70,000 from his savings and asked Bill Cosby for $50,000 as a loan, and created this budget of $150,000 budget. Took him 19 days to film the whole film. 2 days it spent in theaters in two separate cities, Detroit and Atlanta. And out of both of those cities, it grossed $15.2 million. He wrote all the songs, and actually, he had no musical background whatsoever. He lined the keyboard with numbers and memorized the number sequences as melodies and wrote those down, and that's how he wrote all of the songs for this film. His secretary was dating Maurice White, who is a member of Earth, Wind, and Fire, and she encouraged him to hire them to perform the songs for the whole entire album. Now, this was back before Earth, Wind, and Fire became Earth, Wind, and Fire, and I do hope that you guys do know who Earth, Wind, and Fire is. September is one of their songs who people always remake and remake and remake. So this film came out way before they were who they are today. He released the album 3 months before he released the film, just to create buzz, because he didn't have the funding for promotions or anything for the film. With this film, he created the black exploitation genre that was really big in the 70s. And actually, the Black Panthers applauded him for the political resonance of the black struggle that was portrayed in this film. Ain't Supposed to Die a Natural Death. It was created in 1971. Is another musical that was written, directed, produced, everything under the sun by Peebles. It contains songs from three albums that he created way before he created the musical, and they were also unreleased before the musical as well. And this is about a series of 19 political, outspoken, darkly comedic, and sexually charged musical monologues that explore the negative aspects of black street life and the ghetto experience. And each character has a painful story to tell in either funk, soul, jazz, or blues. And it's presented in a confrontational, in your face style. This was a precursor to spoken word and rap music. And it also contributed to the growing black presence on Broadway. As a whole, there wasn't a lot of black plays or musicals being done on Broadway, but this musical actually ran for a long time. It opened in October 20th, 1971 after 10 previews, and it ran for 325 performances. The cast include Bill Duke, Garrett Morris, Ozzie Davis, and Felicia Rashad. And actually, it was nominated for 7 Tony Awards. Excuse me. Currently, right now in 2022, his son Mario Peebles is the creative producer behind the revival that is going to happen later this year on Broadway. Don't Play As Cheap is his next musical that he created. And actually, this is derived from a book that he wrote in French. And it's all in French. He translated it to English. And then from the English translation, he created the feature film slash musical. And this is actually based on a true story that happened to him when he was creating a documentary one summer for a production company. An older woman approached him outside of his home and asked to use the restroom and for a glass of water. And she was so just amazed with his hospitality that she called him 3 days later and invited him to her niece's birthday party in Harlem. And his experiences at that party became the book that became the musical. For his next musical named Reggae in 1980, I could find very little. I was lucky to find a picture of the playbill. I do know that he just co-wrote this, and it did close after 21 performances at the Biltmore, Theater. All I know is that it was set in Jamaica. Whatever occurs in this one day in Jamaica, that's what this musical is about. Actress Cheryl Lee Ralph, who is from Abbott Elementary, she's one of the teachers. If you've never seen Abbott Elementary, then she is Moesha's stepmother in in the TV show Moesha from the 90s. But she actually made her Broadway debut in this musical. Waltz of the Stork, that came out in 1982, is a semi-autobiography play written and performed by Peebles. It actually features his son, Mario, and it lasted for 160 performances. One of the songs from the album called Apple Stretching was covered by Grace Jones and actually released in the 90s. There were only a couple of reviews about this. They're actually kind of negative, and personally, I wouldn't want to read them, only because after reading them, it becomes crystal clear that the people who were watching this just to write a review didn't understand the artistic drive and also the Black experience. So it's just them nagging about Peebles being self-indulgent and talking about the same things, but it's not really about that at all. Unmitigated Truth, Life, A Lavatory, Loves, and Ladies, created in 2009, was his last musical. He performs a mixture of his old music from his past albums, and he created some more songs, but they're all just recounting memories of his life. This is what they labeled it, a memoir. It was performed at, I do not want to slaughter this name, but it was performed at this theater. Very little information is found on this play. I couldn't find any actors outside of Peebles who actually acted in this play. I don't know how long it ran or anything like that, but there was one review I was able to find that just basically says that this was performed in a very small and intimate theater, and it just takes you on a roller coaster ride of emotions, whether you're grinning uncontrollably through the music or what is being said, or you're scratching your head confused because everything is out of order. Melvin's main collaborator is actually his oldest son, Mario Van Peebles, and it got to the point where you couldn't see one without seeing the other in the industry. They were always together. They were always acting in the same shows or films. Like up top on the left side, that is a screenshot from Posse, and his father is actually one of the guys who was trying to catch him in that film. Uh, to the right of that, they were starring together in an episode of Living Single with Queen Latifah. They were always writing or directing or producing something together. Mario had his first debut in Melvin's earlier short films that he created in 1957, but by IMDb standards, he made his debut in Sweet Sweetback. He wrote, produced, directed, and starred in Badass, which is a film based on his father's struggle to film and distribute Sweet Sweetback. And also, this film, the screenplay was written by Melvin. They won Best Film for that film, also Best Director and Best Screenplay. Mario also directed and co-starred in Panther, and it's based on a screenplay and novel written by his father, Melvin. It portrays the Black Panther Party for self-defense, tracing the organization from its foundings through the decline in a compressed time frame. It was produced by both Peebles, and in the box office, they made well over $6 million. Common themes and anomalies. The biggest thing is that Melvin accurately depicted Black stories. I know, for example, his first film was called Watermelon Man, and it was released with Columbia Pictures, and he had to fight tooth and nail with the casting because he wanted a Black actor for his lead role, but Columbia wanted him to cast a white actor and have him in blackface the entire film. He eventually won the fight, and he casted a Black comedian who was in whiteface for 15 minutes of the film. But I know after that experience, he just decided he is just going to do his own thing unapologetically, fearlessly, and raw. And I love that for him. He also utilized music as a storytelling medium. I did take a direct quote from him, and he said most filmmakers look at a feature in terms of image and story, or vice versa. Effects and music are strictly secondary considerations. Very few look at films with sound considered as a creative third dimension. So I calculate the scenario in such a way that sound can be used as an integral, part of the film. So all he is saying is that music enhance the effects as you watch his films, and that in itself, I think, heightened his, not only his storytelling, but his impact with his all his films and his musicals. Everything that he's ever created started off as either a novel, a screenplay, or a short story that he wrote, and he eventually created that into a film or a musical. He's very sexual liberated in a lot of his works, not only talking about the Black experience, but also anything on the scale of sexuality as a whole. He discussed very heavily in his works as well. And in closing, I just feel as a Black artist or a Black filmmaker, doing the research and learning more about Melvin as a whole and his work and what he's done for Black people in filmmaking and in the musical world. It's very inspiring for me to not only continue my work, but to understand that what I want and how I want to leave my legacy is exactly how he did his. So I'm excited to continue that. Again, my name is Tay, and I hope you have a great day.